Hey guys, we're live. We're looking live today. Today we have our usual person as a guest host, Jason on the bottom down there, and you'll recognize, well, maybe you don't recognize Pat Kenny over on the top right. Former, I'm going to just say it, Pat, don't get embarrassed. Former Waterloo Courier reporter. I don't know if reporter, writer, whatever. I don't know what your exact job was there, but
A little bit
maybe
of
editor
everything.
or something.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
Okay. All right. So we're here to discuss the Iowa State, and Pat is a graduate of Iowa State, and I believe he was at the Iowa State North Dakota game this weekend. So he can
Yeah.
tell us kind of from personal observation, kind of some of the things that he saw from that game. But first, guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. It really helps out on the algorithm. If you would do that, it gets the more you like and the more subscribers I get, the more people gets pushed out to on YouTube. And I'm really trying to get there, guys. We didn't meet my goal of 400 people for the kickoff on last Saturday, but we're like 354, so we came close. Only 46 more to go. Okay, so
You need to resend the email to Paul.
what's that?
You need to resend the email to Paul.
All righty. Not sure how I'm going to do that. All right, let me hang on, guys. Pat, why don't you start out by telling us what you observed, offensively and defensively, while I probably will go figure this out for him.
Yeah, I
I'll be
can
right
fill
back.
the. I'm a cyclone. I can fill the dead air, right? uh, um, well, I'll tell you what. A lot of people around me said that first touchdown Iowa State got, that's the quickest first strike they'd ever seen, and I'd be hard pressed to remember one that was quicker. I mean, that first catch, that first toss downfield was just absolutely surreal. He put that right between two guys. I had to just keep watching to make sure he actually had control of the thing and it didn't squirt out, because in the sunlight, you never know. And then the next one, he boom, and then it's like, oh my God, are we off the races here? And then North Dakota's offense kind of took over second quarter. They had a lot of drive, a lot of first downs. They had time of possession. They had a lot of rushing yards. They must have outrushed Iowa State 4 yards to 1. But
didn't they have the ball for like 12 minutes of the second quarter?
yeah, the time of possession was incredible. It was just, and I don't know how they got a field goal out of it. And it's like,
right. They went for
like
15 plays and got a field goal, if I remember.
I know. I couldn't believe it. I mean, they were converting third down after third down after third down, even going into the third quarter. And Iowa State's defense, I mean, did not look good. They were really soft on the edges. I mean, he didn't throw on them too much. When he did throw on them, they were pretty tough, because they did get a couple of picks later in the game, and Iowa State got a couple of sacks. But I found out later, and I heard guys buzzing around me about this, but I wasn't thinking about it, was that they're really soft at linebacker right now, because Caleb Bacon's out. He got hurt really early. I saw a guy went off on a cart, but I didn't know who the hell it was, but it was Bacon. And that, I think, made a difference. And I think they were probably soft to begin with at linebacker. But then on the post-game show going home, I hear the guys joking and saying, yeah, we knew Matt was going to put us to sleep in the second half. So, maybe he was sandbagging. I don't think
that's
so.
That's what he does every year, though, against these small schools.
Yeah. But, I'll tell you what, a good FCS school is going to give you a run for its money. And you guys know at North Dakota State, UNI, North Dakota, I mean, Illinois State, look at, Iowa had trouble recently.
Well, wasn't it 2 years ago when Iowa State was ranked in the top 10? And they almost lost to UNI that year, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't?
Yeah. And then that what was that god awful low scoring game the Hawks were in with South Dakota?
7-3 and no touchdown.
Yeah, that's 7 points came from a couple safeties.
Yeah, that's just, where do you do that?
Seems like Iowa always has that kind of luck. Like, because remember the UNI game, all the UNI had to do was get that field goal off for the win, and Iowa blocked it twice.
Yeah.
That was a heartbreaker. That was such a heartbreaker. And I was at the 2014 game when UNI gave them a run and actually had the lead for a while when David Johnson was there. I mean, he got behind the linebackers and ripped them up, but they just had the numbers and took care of it. And I was like, and the funny thing was, everybody started booing Ferentz at the way he was using his timeouts and stuff. And I thought, I have never heard a home crowd get on their own head coach as quick as these guys. It's been kind of a thing over the years. But I mean, my God, look at the success him and Fry have had. We've had 7 or 8 head coaches in the time I always had 2. I mean, so it speaks for itself. But I don't know. I mean, Iowa State's probably got more than they showed. Abu Sama looked pretty good. He'd had a lot of, runs just outside the tackle. They were doing some misdirection stuff. They'd stack everything up on the left side and run him right. And they've got a couple of other backs that they used sparingly too. They made a couple of pretty good gains up the middle, but it was mostly around the edges and stuff. One thing I did not understand was North Dakota had the ball with 7 minutes left. Driving. I mean, they were down like on the 30 or inside the 30, and on 4th down, they go for a field goal, and they're down 21-3. I'm going, why not just go for the whole thing, get the enchilada, get a touchdown, and try an onside kick? But I don't know. I guess if it's 21-6, it's still theoretically a 2-score game. But I mean, it seemed like they didn't leave the hammer down long enough either. But Iowa State was kind of starting to overwhelm them slowly by the midway through the 3rd quarter. So
Iowa State pulled in Iowa is what you're saying. After they got up a couple scores, it's just like, let's shut it down.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, it's like a lot of Packer games I've seen over the years with Favre and Rodgers where they have a quick strike and then it's just like they just sit on it. It's just like riding time in wrestling or something, Well,
I think Favre and Aaron Rodgers, I think they love being down so that they could go on that 2-minute drill at the end of the game to get their winning touchdown. I think I think they just thrived on that because it seemed like they were pretty consistently successful.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Favre wanted to throw a touchdown pass every time he touched the ball, just like Mickey Mantle wanted to hit a home run every time he was up to bat. So
I just feel like Matt Campbell and Kirk Ferentz are a lot of the same as far as their game day management. Matt Campbell just doesn't like to run the ball as much. I mean, he's have NFL talent at the running back spot, and he still would throw 4 picks against Iowa. Running backs averaging 5 yards a carry, but still wanted to keep throwing it. That would be a difference. But like Matt Campbell does this every time he plays a small school at the beginning of the year. Last year, didn't you struggle with your first team too? I know they lost to Ohio, but I feel like they struggled with whoever they played in week 1 as well.
Yeah, what you're talking about, I remember that's when they had Xavier, and it seemed like what frustrated me was they'd run short routes, but he didn't run it at first down depth. It was like, I guess he expected he was going to get it on elbow grease, but I mean, run it a couple yards deeper, man. If you're going to do that, anyway.
Yeah. So we already established that Caleb Bacon will not be playing Saturday because he
is out for sure.
He is out for sure, according to Matt Campbell.
Yeah, Campbell said he'll be back. He'll be back sometime this year, and he said that's about the best news they could have hoped for because he had surgery on Sunday, I guess.
Okay.
But and now Jerry mentions that Sama was nicked up too. Is he did Campbell say anything about him playing, or he's gonna try to go, or just it doesn't know yet?
I didn't see that, but I do remember in the 3rd quarter he was down. It was a run up the middle, and he was down for a while, but he got back up, and I thought it was a North Dakota guy, but they had so many guys around him. But he was up and back up. I don't know that he went back in, but
I think he did.
He was down a while, but he got back.
Sama's out.
Okay. Yeah, they said he got up I thought he was under his own power and walked off.
He did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he limp off, or did he just kind of walk?
No, he kind of trotted off, Mick. He was, not like he was.
Okay. Then he'll be playing Saturday. No doubt.
Like it was a thigh cramp or a thigh bruise or something,
But
wait till he runs. Wait till he runs into that Iowa line and linebackers. He'll get hurt again.
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, he's hurt. So, he's not injured.
Yeah. So it was suggested in one of the articles I read that Iowa's defensive line might have a little bit of trouble with the O-line for Iowa State, but yet Jerry, I think here somewhere, or somebody said it was Kelvin, said he was disappointed in the O-line. So did the O-line not perform like they should have?
Well, you know what? Rocco didn't have a lot of pressure on him, so they must have had pretty good protection. I don't think they didn't run between the tackles very much when they did run. I don't think it was off tackle and like that. So yeah, maybe he's just trying to gin them up a little bit to get them fired up for the Iowa game. I don't know. But
do they spread out? Do they spread out, or are they more what Jason calls a phone booth?
Yeah, right. Right. I mean, you guys tell me, what about Iowa's passing attack? Is this thing for real, or were they just, was it like batting practice or something?
I'm going to let Paul answer that because Paul did a breakdown of the game, and so he can tell you what he thinks.
Yeah.
Go for it, Paul.
First of all, apologies for being late. I time ran over at the FSU football funeral I was attending. They were chanting 0-2. And
that's like the cheer we used to have at Ames when during Crutchfield's there, left tackle, right tackle, up the middle punt.
It was a very solemn event. But as far as what happened on Saturday, I think the passing attack is real. I like Dean said, I really went through kind of every play to see what was happening, especially like what changed in the second half. And if it was a matter of just superior talent taking over. And it was talent, but it was also strategery. Iowa did some things that they took advantage of what Illinois State was doing in the first half and how they were defending. And so, for instance, Iowa used the same formations in the second half that they were using in the first half. And what Illinois State was doing in that phone booth, as we like to call it, is they were putting 9-10 guys in the box and they were run blitzing on early downs. And we just took advantage of that by short play action. And then we had guys running open, whether it was our true freshman Vanderzee, our tight ends, Lachey, Ostrenga. I have a great still shot of one where we threw about a 7-yard pass in the flat to Ostrenga, and we could have went to 3 other guys who were as or more open down the field. But we went with the easy pass, probably maybe the easiest of the 3 to complete. So long story long, it was impressive. And I don't know what you saw, if you saw any of the highlights or anything like that, but there was vertical shots. It wasn't, in fact, I don't think we threw one completed horizontal pass. We did do a check down at one point. Our running back dropped the ball, and that was, well, I'm talking like true, like horizontal, like Greg Davis.
No screens or nothing, but he had 3 checkdowns to the running back, and he dropped all 3.
Right.
Oh boy.
Those are 3 of Cade's incompletions.
But he's probably not going to be the feature back on Saturday anyway. It's going to be Johnson. So
I feel like that. But Kelvin, they averaged 3.9 yards a carry, and Sama averaged 7.2 yards a carry.
Whew.
So when they were giving Sama the ball, he was moving.
Yeah, he was
the line did do
5+.
Yeah, he got 36 yards on just 5 carries. So that works out to about what Jason just said.
Yeah. No, he was making yardage when he got the ball, but they didn't. I mean,
I'm sure
North
they saved
Dakota,
him for this week. If he got dinged up, they wouldn't waste him on that game.
Oh no, and North Dakota had the ball so long in the second quarter. Their time of possession was incredible.
Yeah.
It's like,
if I was an Iowa State fan, what would make me nervous is Iowa's offense for the first time in I don't know how long scored all of its points, right? They scored 40 points, didn't get a single point off of like a pick six, punt return. They almost had a punt return, kick return. There was no like special teams, special scores other than like extra points, simple field goals, but there wasn't any, trickery. There wasn't any, things like that. It was legit offensive drives, legit passing attack without our top two wide receivers playing at all. So we were without Seth Anderson and Caleb Brown. I don't know if we'll have Seth Anderson Saturday, but Caleb Brown should be back from his suspension.
Caleb Brown will be back and in the rotation according to Kirk Ferentz, and Seth will not. Seth is probably a week or two away from coming back.
Yeah.
But Pat, do you guys still run that odd man front? Do you have the same defensive coordinator?
Yeah, Heacock. Yeah, I think he's still there.
Yeah, 3-3-5. Is that what you're running?
North Dakota had the ball for 38 minutes.
Yeah, that's just I don't know what the hell that was.
To lose 21-3, they had more first downs. I mean, they had the ball for 16 more minutes.
But you know what? That was what happened at the Kansas State game, too, in the snow last year, because K-State had a lot of time of possession, but Iowa State was just striking like boom, boom,
yeah,
boom.
But they were scoring like crazy. That was the Sama game, right?
Yeah, that was the one where Sama was ripping off, 50 yards of crack, He was just...
Iowa State
had like 200 yards rushing or something.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Iowa State's 2 touchdown drives in the first half totaled about a minute and a half.
That first drive was 2 plays.
2 plays, yeah. two big plays. And then right before halftime, they literally went down the field, I think, in the 2-minute warning and got their second touchdown. So that helps explain why time of possession may have been skewed some.
And they had a touchdown called back for illegal formation. They had 5 guys in the backfield too, but I think they ended up scoring anyway on a keeper by Rocco. But
so Rocco got the 3rd touchdown of the game. He's responsible for all 3 touchdowns then.
And they almost got a pick 6 late. They had one where the guy was a flat pass and it just went. He would have been gone. There was nobody in front of him. I mean, and their quarterback was not on at the end of the game. They were I don't know what was going on. They did get some pressure on him though. There was a pick on a tip pass too. They hit him and it floated like a dead duck, and one of the linebackers caught it coming down as he on the ground. He was on his knees when he caught it. But there was one missed pick 6. So
we had we almost scored over 50. We had one punt return called back for Baca and the Black. People are saying it's questionable. To me, it's clearly a block, but he was blocked into it by his own player.
That's why it's still a penalty, because it was his own player that hit him.
Yeah.
And if it was an Illinois State player, they may not have called it.
They probably wouldn't have called it. Yeah, and then the other one was with that Strenga, that pass that could have been a touchdown that he couldn't get his hands on.
That was Ortworth.
Yeah.
Ortworth, who dropped a touchdown. And then, they muffed a punt inside like our 5-yard line that we had 4 guys right there, and it bounced right back in his breadbasket.
Yeah.
So
we had one play, North Dakota guy, he dropped the snap and he did a Garo Yepremian, and the damn thing just skittered all the way down to the 5. It was the same thing as if it would have been in the air, but none of the state guys want to touch it because it would have been a live ball if they muffed it.
Right.
So, okay, another question for Pat. Who are some of the wide receivers that we should be looking out for that, especially who caught the ball from Rocco for the 2 touchdowns?
Noel, Jalen Noel, you got to watch him. He's going to be, he's the guy.
He's the biggest one that can put fear in you because of his speed.
Well, and just I don't know how, if he was the one on that long pass. I mean, they were covering him tighter in a cheap suit, and he pulled that damn thing in. I couldn't believe it. It was just, it was surreal. It was just like, did he really get that? I mean, I was looking for the ball to squirt out after he went down, but he hung on to it. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's different from Xavier. Xavier was like a post guy in basketball. He just go up and get it, But Noel's really, and then I don't know, he's running back kicks, but they better be careful he doesn't get hurt on a return or something,
Well, that's what Noah, for me, it's his quickness, his speed, his change of direction. Like he's like a joystick. Like he's got everything. As long as he catches the ball, I mean, he can do anything he wants.
Well, does Iowa have the DBs to stick with him?
Yeah,
that's what I want to know from you guys.
Yeah, they play zone defense, which takes away a lot of what Noel does best. You don't want to play man-to-man against Noel. So with Iowa playing zone, they take away a lot of the speed.
Yeah. Well, Jared must be getting old. He's got a short memory because Campbell did beat Kirk 2 years ago in Iowa City.
Yep, 100 deckers. I remember that. I was at a sports bar surrounded by Hawkeye fans, and they're all gone by halftime.
Really?
That was supposedly two guys from each team were gambling on the game. And two of the guys fumbled. One guy fumbled for Iowa, and the other guy fumbled for Iowa State in that game. Well, that were supposedly gambling on the game.
You guys want to go back and talk about Ronnie Harmon? We can do that too.
No. Ronnie Harmon, even what was he? Was he a Charger? I can't remember.
Yeah,
he was a Charger, but he was also a Buffalo Bill.
He was big with Buffalo.
Yeah, but he had to answer fixing charges for gambling with those guys. But they end up bringing up his Iowa Rose Bowl performance too during that time.
Well, I mean, he was busted, or he wasn't really busted, but they thought he had something with the mob in Buffalo, New York, where he was fumbling just like he did at Iowa with Buffalo. He was doing stupid, and it was always in a big game. Like he would ball out like he can do, and then in a big game he would fumble the ball, do stupid crap.
Yeah, but the funny thing was he had Norby Walters for an agent, and everybody was talking about how he had fur coats and sports cars on campus. And now with the NIL stuff, it's like, what was that all about?
Right. Yeah, now you go back and look at it. That would have just been normal if he was playing today, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of Iowa fans who've turned their back on Ronnie Harmon, and many people don't know he was back working for University of Iowa years after that his pro career ended.
Well,
I think he left because he couldn't take the heat.
Fry always defended him. He stuck by him.
Yeah, Don Patterson did too. Don Patterson said if you could have seen the emotion on him after the game, you would have known that he didn't do any of that on purpose.
Yeah, it's just
could have been a good actor.
It's awful hard for Big Ten school to go out there and back then anyway. I mean, Fry always said he looked at the bowl game as a reward, and it's sort of like. That's great, but how about if we win one a couple of times, And,
we haven't won a Rose Bowl since the 50s.
Yeah, Randy Duncan and Evashevsky.
Yeah. Now, however, the year that we won the Orange Bowl, that could have been the Rose Bowl just as easily, but they were involved in the playoffs that year, and we won that one.
That should have been Rose Bowl, and that was, one of those years. I think it was in that run. Iowa's expectations were up so high, and then they didn't deliver, but they still were the first team ever to win a bowl game 3 years in a row for the Hawkeyes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something Hayden Fry never did.
Yeah, well, there was some good ones, though. That Peach Bowl after the first Rose Bowl was pretty good. That showdown with Willie Galt in Tennessee, that was a hell of a game. I think it was like 28-22 or something like that.
Yeah, Iowa won that one.
So, Jared, Jared asked, did you pay attention to any of the other Big 12 games? Because I really didn't pay that close of attention other than Iowa State.
I didn't see. I could barely read the scores from the nosebleed heights of Jack Trice Stadium, but it looked like Oklahoma State smoked their people. And, it's so odd because you don't have Oklahoma and Texas anymore. It's kind of like you don't have the big bullies hanging around. It's kind of tough. But
different world, isn't it? It's
different
world.
Well, I know West Virginia didn't win theirs.
No, they were behind. Yeah, that's right. They were showing some of that.
Houston and West Virginia. Houston and West Virginia are the only ones that lost.
And that's Houston's, and I think we've got a decent competitive conference. I mean, it looked like we weren't even going to have a conference, or Iowa State was going to end up in a Mountain West. But I think we got a pretty good conference. It's just you guys. It's like the only time Iowa and UCLA are supposed to play is in the Rose Bowl and Washington. It's just like I'm sorry, I'm a traditionalist. It's just
so. How's that going to be now that the Rose Bowl is part of the playoff anyway? The only time Iowa will get to play that is when they're playing a regular season game in Pasadena, like they will this season. That will be their Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
And I want to get to that game this year. I have never been to the Rose Bowl. I would love to go. And my one of the professional soccer teams in Los Angeles plays inside the Rose Bowl, and my daughter and son-in-law, my grandson got to go in there, and they were sending me back pictures taken in front of the Rose Bowl symbol and everything. And it's just like, guys, quit rubbing it in, because they knew how bad I wanted to be inside there. That was on my bucket list yet.
Well, UCLA was the other Big Ten team that just about got beat. So
they should have.
They should have. So
my Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, man. I can't believe.
Can we point out that USC almost got beat too, and how upset LSU quarterback coach was, pounding the table saying, when you got a team on the ropes, you can't let them go, and we let them go.
Oh, LSU almost beat SC. Wow, that's cool.
It sounded like the last 2 minutes or left. Oh, actually, I think it was like 50-some seconds. They went down and marched down the field and kicked the winning field goal. Or was it a touchdown? It was they made it a touchdown rather than all they needed was a field goal.
Yeah.
And then Colorado kind of struggled with North Dakota State. They ended up winning, but North Dakota, they got all they
31-26. 31-26 was the score, yeah.
I am happy that Colorado is back in the Big 12. That's nice. I like, and it'd be fun to see Prime come to Ames sometime.
It wouldn't hurt my feelings if Nebraska thought about coming back to the Big 12 too.
Yeah,
the Big 12 has 16 teams.
There's no way Nebraska or anybody else that's currently in the Big Ten wants to give up that Big Ten TV money. That
one thing I'd like to point out is, despite our recent dominance over both Iowa State and Nebraska, they've been very close games. We've had a lot of fortune and ball bounces our way. Literally once it bounced our way and a punt. But I hate playing those games. I don't like playing them. They make me nervous. It makes me stressed all week.
I don't either. I'd rather see them beat the hell out of everybody else in the conference and beat each other up. I mean, Donnie. I told you guys this before. When Donnie Duncan was coach at Iowa State, he had good success against Iowa. I think he beat them 3 out of 4 times, but they were so banged up the rest of the year. He threw everything he had in 2 games, Iowa and Oklahoma, because he was an assistant under Barry Switzer, and he'd do everything he could to beat those guys, and they just would be beat up for the rest of the year. It just,
what was the coach's name? Mac, the one that was, what's this? They call him Coach Mac.
Dan McCarron.
Didn't he have like 5 years in a row against Iowa or something?
Yeah, he after Duncan left, we didn't win one for like 15 years, and then Mac came in. I think he got a win in '97, and then it evened up a little bit more. I think because
we were being dominated for a few years.
It was '98. It was after the Tim Dwight, Tavian Banks crew left. 1998 was when Iowa State, I think they won 3 or 4 out of 5 or something.
Yeah.
Because they even won in 2002, where Iowa dominated the first half and then Iowa State dominated the second half. So they did have some, but Iowa State won like 3 or 4 out of 5 in that period. And then it just kept going back and forth.
Yeah, you remember there was 2 overtime games back to back, wasn't there? I remember Iowa State won 44-41, and the Hawks did the same thing the next year.
Yeah.
And then the best game I saw live was 2017 at Ames that the Hawkeyes won. Rhodes was coaching Iowa State. They scored too soon, and gave the Hawks enough time. And Watley, he must have busted 4 tackles or 5 tackles coming down the field. That was just incredible.
That was the Wadley game.
Yeah,
they had him surrounded at the 10-yard line, and he did some funky stuff and ended up getting into the end zone.
Yeah,
then ISM was a true freshman. He got the game-winning touchdown in overtime.
That's right.
Stanley threw 5 touchdowns.
Yeah,
there's an answer to a trivia question on a freshman wide receiver at Iowa. Okay, Calvin points out that Ronnie played the Rose Bowl with a slight separated shoulder. That's the first I've heard of that. Had you guys heard that?
No, I mean, to me, it doesn't matter because there was a couple of those fumbles that just looked like he dropped it. That very first fumble of the game after Iowa got the ball inside the 10-yard line. You guys remember that in the Rose Bowl? I don't know if Paul remembers, but I don't know how.
There was one where he's in the end zone and just like it right between his arms like an outfielder.
The very first offensive play was like inside the 10-yard line because UCLA turned it over, and the very first play, Harmon fumbled it right away.
Was that the one where he fumbled it on the 1-yard line going into the end zone? He was going in untouched?
That was a different one. That wasn't this one.
Yeah, I just remember it. All of a sudden, the ball mysteriously fell out of his hand at the 1-yard line, and he was untouched.
That's why I'm very pessimistic about that. Just because 2 of his fumbles literally looked like he dropped them, so that's why I'm very pessimist about anybody who defends Ronnie Harmon. Because then he turns around and does the same thing in Buffalo in the playoffs. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's Jerry. I think Jerry loves you, Jason. He says, "Thank you, Nate Stanley." You guys all know that Jason worships the ground that Nate Stanley played on.
Well, you should worship the ground he played on, but I worship the ground he walks on.
There you go. All right, we're gonna move on that one. I'm not sure. I'm sure that had something to do with a discussion we had previously on here. Iowa up to 21 in the poll. ISU number 29 in the polls.
Yeah,
this is ISU's chance to jump into the polls next week. If they win, they will be in the top 25. Iowa will probably drop out.
It'll just depend on how the game goes. If it's a blowout either way, Iowa could drop out and Iowa State could jump in. It just depends on how the game goes.
Yeah.
And how
everybody thought that ISU had a chance to jump in this week, and I just because they were like 30th in other votes. They were like ranked 30th or 31 in the other votes. And so I said they have a lot of teams to jump. I don't think this is the week, but if they beat Iowa State, they will definitely be a top 25 team next week.
Well, this is the time of year you don't see much movement because everybody should win their easy games, right?
Unless your name is Florida State.
Or Florida
State.
Yeah. Or Florida, yeah.
Or Florida.
That was a crazy game last night watching Boston College. Was that? Yeah, that was last night. Okay.
That was last night. And
Boston College.
Did you stay up late for it, Paul?
Actually, I watched it this morning. I got up about 3, and that way I can fast forward through commercials and halftime, and I got it in. And I still couldn't believe, that they were down. FSU was down. I want to say I think it was 15-3 or 15-6, and they decided they had to go forward on 4th down, and on their own side of the field. This isn't the second quarter. They did some stuff that I'm just sitting here going.
And that just when they go for on 4th down on their own side of the field early in the game, is that showing a lack of respect for the team in front of you?
Hey, Mike Leach does it all the time. Or he.
Well, the thing was, I watched the game. The only time, first of all, you're in trouble if you have to start emptying the playbook because you can't win with your regular stuff. And that was the only time Florida State really had any offensive success was they ran a couple of trick plays. And what
happens when you go after a guy who is not a very good quarterback? DJ has lived off of his high school days in college. That's why he's on his 3rd team. He started at Clemson. He was supposed to be. He was a 5-star. Yeah. He's not that good up here. He's got the Deuce Hogan syndrome up here. Now DJ can get him in and out of the huddle and get him to the line of scrimmage, or the Petrus. I should say Petrus for the Iowa fans. The same thing in that 5 seconds where your brain's supposed to see it and react. DJ can't do it. He's got a cannon. He's got everything, but he doesn't have it up here.
He didn't get a lot of help last night either. I mean,
no, he had some drop balls. I'll give him that. He had some drop balls. That 84, my son was like, number 84 is like literally dropped 10 balls, it felt like, is what he was saying. I didn't get to watch the whole thing. So I didn't know that, but I've seen a lot of times as well throughout the game where he just made a dumb play.
Yeah.
Like the very first, I want to say the very first play of the second half, wasn't it almost a pick six? He just threw the ball into God's country and it was intercepted. It just, yeah. Some quarterbacks can't do it.
Their defense, they're paper tigers on defense. Florida State is. They look good getting off the bus, but when it came time for hitting and tackling and doing the things that we expect when we watch our Iowa defense, I feel like they've checked out. So.
Yes. So, what do you guys think? I mean, how would you rank the Missouri Valley Football Conference? We know that they've got all the South Dakota and North Dakota schools in there that they're all tough. UNI is traditionally a tough team. Illinois State's ranked 20th in the FCS poll. And so, who else would be a team that's a perennial FCS power in that league?
South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits. They were national champions, weren't they?
Yeah. Who did they beat in the finals?
Well, they beat North Dakota State to get there, and they'd been a dynasty.
They beat, I think it was Montana State.
Montana, the Grizzlies of the Grizz of and their fans are like Philadelphia Eagle fans. Just they're tough.
Right.
Okay. All right.
We're gonna find out when UNI goes into Lincoln and plays Nebraska a week from Saturday.
Where UNI is.
I can't wait for that. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, that's
when did they play that game? A week after this weekend?
Yeah, they play. UNI plays up at St. Paul at St. Thomas Saturday, and then next week they're in Lincoln, and then they go out to Hawaii after that.
Yeah, I just kind of curious to see how UNI's season's going, because it used to be that they were always the bully of that league, and all of a sudden it switched, and UNI can't grab the momentum back.
Yeah, when the North Dakota schools came back in, it's like the old North Central Conference when we were kids, when they were all Division II. Both North Dakota schools, both South Dakota schools, Morningside, Mankato State, they were all in there, and it was all pretty competitive. That's way back in the Stan Sheriff era, but no, they haven't. North Dakota State's been on a long, long run, and it was before Chris Kleiman even got there. That's the other thing, that Kleiman left Farley as an assistant at UNI and went to North Dakota State, and he recruited some guys out of Waterloo to go play up there, like Lance Dunn.
I would love for Kleiman to take over for Kirk Ferentz someday, but Kleiman's getting up there in years too.
Yeah, he is. It's a
night game. The Nebraska UNI game's a night game, and it's on BTN.
Oh boy!
Oh, I'm going to have fun with that one. Gonna love it.
6:30 on BTN. I can't wait.
Guys, get your Panther gears on. We're going to root for the Panthers that night.
Yeah. I don't want to get too presumptuous, but that could be kind of fun.
Yeah.
When I lived on campus, when my wife and I first got married, we lived on campus for 2 years in married student housing. I went to a lot of UNI football games and basketball games, and at that time they were just starting to get good and everything, and they were starting to take on the big boys and get some upsets. And like I remember they played in the Unidome. They played Kansas 1 year, and I think Wisconsin the next year, and beat them both. I was at both of those games.
Wow.
That was weird watching a basketball game in the Unidome. I'm glad they finally built a separate arena for basketball.
Yeah, it was a big echo chamber, and taking a shot was just crazy, And then I was at the game when UNI beat the Hawkeyes back in 1990 when Ray Thompson was playing for, that was rocking. They had what, 27,000 people in there or something like that. And
was that in the McLeod Center by that time?
No, that was in the Dome, Mick. And
okay, dang.
Everybody's going out the same exit. Players, fans, everybody. we're going out, and Jonathan Cox, who's still an employee at UNI, he was on the team, grad assistant. He comes by and he yells, "New kids on the block, big boys go home."
Yeah.
They went to the tournament there. That was the year they beat upset Missouri and got to the round of 24 before Minnesota beat them.
And I don't think Fran McCaffrey's allowed in the McLeod Center, so.
What did he do in the McLeod Center? I forget. Refresh my memory.
Well, he was there when he coached Siena before he coached the Hawkeyes too. But Fran can be his own worst enemy sometimes. Let's put it that way. You guys know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I got to preface this on Brandon's. I learned recently that he's both a Nebraska. He grew up a Nebraska fan and also a Hawkeye fan. And so, it's probably hard for him to listen to us put down his Nebraska.
Yeah, I get it.
I still want, hey, Brandon, I still want Nebraska to go back to the Big 12. I don't like playing them every year. And you probably don't either.
I want them back in the Big 12. I'd love it back there. I think, I'm a traditionalist. I'd be fun playing the Huskers.
You think Nebraska ever regretted leaving the Big 12? I mean, the Big 10 kind of gave them some difficult schedules and kind of introduced them dirty for a while. I mean, they did have a little success. They won before it was the East and the West division. They did win the division. I don't know if we were legends or leaders.
Yeah, right. Athletically, maybe, but I don't. I'm Facebook friends with some academics, and I think they think that was on balance a pretty good move, affiliate with the Big Ten schools. Mm. I hope Oklahoma and Texas regret going to the SEC. That'd be nice.
Yeah,
I wished, and the FIS.
I think one thing that Texas and Oklahoma are both going to find out that. They were basically the top two dogs in that conference, and they pretty much had their way with most of the teams in that league. That's not going to be that way in the SEC.
No, I mean, Texas kind of saved the conference after Nebraska left, but they kind of gave them everything then too. And I
feel like the conference had started to catch up to Texas and Oklahoma over the last few years.
Well, we did the year we won the Fiesta Bowl.
Right. But not just Iowa State, Kansas last year, the last couple of years has gotten a lot better. Baylor's had some good years. Was it Rick Broyles, their coach, maybe?
Yeah. K-State's been, they had a hiccup with COVID, but Kleiman's really kept them on a good path, Yeah.
So, I mean, and then, Oklahoma and Texas, they've had their struggles. I mean, as far as just, after Stoops retired.
Yeah.
They definitely kind of fell off a little bit. And then their coach left and went to USC. And and then, Texas, they got all the talent in the world, but for whatever reason, have not had. Well, the last time they won a championship was 2003, the Rose Bowl win over USC.
2006, but yeah.
Oh, it was 2006. Okay.
Now that Texas and A&M are back in the same conference, they can have the Chicken Ranch game again.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, Dean, are we doing our picks tonight?
Yes, we are. I was just going to suggest we're probably at a spot because I want Pat to pick as a guesser tonight too. So.
Right, that's what I was going to say because the wife says I got to get out. She has appointments tonight starting at 7, so I got to get off by 55.
All righty, so good. All right, guys, Texas at Michigan. Go first, Jason.
Did you say Texas, Michigan?
Yeah, at Michigan.
I'm going to go with Texas.
Pat.
That Michigan offense does not look good. So
Pat, I'm going to let you pick now next.
Texas.
Paul.
I'm going to take Big Blue at home. I'm going to be a Big Ten homer.
Okay.
Karma's going to kick them right in the balls.
I know.
Ah, my pin breaking. Okay. All right, we'll try this pin. All right, Michigan. Kansas at Illinois. Oh, by the way, I took Texas as well, and I'm picking Illinois. Paul, you want the first pick this time?
Give me Kansas.
Who's Kansas playing?
Illinois at Illinois.
Gosh. I want to find out if Illinois' defense is for real before they play Joey and Central Michigan. So I'm going to take Kansas as well.
Okay. How about you, Pat? I got a gut feeling I know which way you're going here.
KU.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
He's a Big 12 homer all the way. Texas.
Oh, yeah. No, I just figured there's enough people from Chicago that are going to be at Illinois that they'll start boo-birding them really fast. You know?
Yeah. Right. All right, Tennessee at North Carolina State. Pat, go first.
NC State.
Okay.
They got Grayson McCall. I mean, NC State should be good this year. They have a good quarterback. Who are they playing again?
Tennessee. But NC State's at home.
But Tennessee runs that veer and shoot offense with Nico as their quarterback. They got a great quarterback. I'm going to go with Tennessee.
Okay.
That offense is just too good.
Paul.
Well, you know, when these two teams meet, you can throw out all the records, right? And NC State is an absolute snake pit. That's why I'm taking Tennessee.
I love how you said that.
That was my
You
KU
fooled me like that last week, too. I also took Tennessee. Utah State at USC.
Oh.
I took USC.
I don't think Spencer's coming back this week, so I'm going to go with USC.
Pat.
Just for fun, Utah State. Just because it'd be just ridiculously funny to see that happen.
I mean, it would be.
It's like Appalachian and Michigan way back in the day, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paul.
Southern Cal, baby. Southern Cal.
I was waiting for something.
Okay. Now, just for shits and giggles, I threw in Utah Tech at UNLV.
Hey.
Utah Tech at UNLV, the Deacon Hill game.
That's where Deacon Hill's at, Pat. Utah Tech.
Okay. Oh,
that's why we threw it in there. And he actually played last week.
Where's Jay Norvell at now?
Colorado State.
Okay, that's right. I remember that. Okay.
He's going to be joined by Mike Norvell pretty soon.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to get fired. Are they brothers?
No.
Was
they just no relation?
I saw Norvell last night. I wonder about that. Gosh. I'm just going to go with UNLV just because I don't know. Nonsensical.
I mean, it's a far way to go. I got UNLV too.
Yeah.
The fighting heavy D's, I don't trust them. So
yeah. Paul?
I don't think Utah Tech could beat ITT Tech. They're not beating UNLV either.
Okay. All right. South Dakota at Wisconsin. I took Wisconsin. By the way, I took UNLV as well. I want to get down to because I want you guys to name the Iowa State score too when we get there.
Well, you got to. Which one do you want to go first this time?
Go ahead, Jason. As long as you spoke up.
What was the teams?
South Dakota at Wisconsin.
Oh, Wisconsin.
South Dakota. Who did they lose to this week?
But I'm going to root my butt off for South Dakota. They got Decker, DeJean. I think his name is Decker, something like that.
Oh, the older brother of Cooper.
Beckett DeJean plays for South Dakota.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with Wisconsin though.
Okay. All right, Paul, go give me your pick.
I was not impressed by Wisconsin. I think I do think they'll make that week 1 to week 2 improvements, and I think they'll handle South Dakota.
I took Wisconsin too. What about Pat?
South Dakota.
Oh,
Good.
I went to an Iowa-Wisconsin game in 1990. I wore an ISU shirt and a Packers cap.
Yeah.
I actually got a Hawkeye fan shake my hand.
Okay. All right. California at Auburn. I took Auburn.
see, these are the picks that are good. I like this game. This is going to be.
I guess I'll go War Eagle.
That would be
Yep.
Auburn, right? Okay.
Their quarterback, Auburn's quarterback is that former Michigan State quarterback. He is not that good.
Oh boy.
But I'm going to go with War Eagle as well.
Pat.
Yeah. Auburn. That's a tough place to play.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Auburn can almost run the ball on every down, though, and just beat up Cal.
Okay. Here's one. This will tell us where MSU and Maryland stand with each other. Michigan State at Maryland.
Who do you want to go?
I'll go. I took Maryland. Go ahead, Paul.
Fear the Turtle. I'll take Maryland.
Maryland.
Michigan's another team that's
Here's the
strong.
Brian Ferentz's baby. Brian Ferentz is going to have that offense humming.
I said Fear the Turtle.
That's great. I'm going with the Terps. Michigan State's been down the last couple of years, haven't they, you guys?
Yes, they have.
They got
They
Brian
think
now,
they
though.
think they're back. They think they're back, but we'll
Oh.
see. This will be a test for everybody.
You know what? That's an old Big Ten East Conference matchup. It will be some familiarity there. So
Okay, Pat, did you pick that one yet?
Yeah, I went with Maryland.
Okay. All right. One more game before we finish up with the Iowa game. I'll try to make it quick.
Yeah,
Duke
that
at
white
Northwestern.
dispensary time's
I took
up.
Duke. Jason.
Oh, I want to watch this game too. Northwestern.
Okay. Pat.
Just on sentimentality, because Duke alum Christian Adolph Sonny Jurgensen III just turned 90 last month. I'm going with Duke.
Okay. Tough game.
Nice.
All righty. And Paul finally.
the smart kids are going to win. So let's go with Duke.
They're both smart.
That's great.
I think this is why they play each other.
They're not
That is
smart if they
true.
pay that tuition.
Right?
There's going to be a smart kid that wins. That's for sure.
Paul, did you decide yet?
Yes, Duke.
Duke. Okay. All right. The final is Iowa, but you have to name the score. I got Iowa 20-13. Pat, I'm going to let you go next. I know where you're going with this, but give me your score.
Oh, shit. Really? 31-21 Iowa, and I hope I'm wrong.
I know. I'm coming. Got one more pick.
Okay, Jason.
Iowa wins 24-17. Bet the over. It's 35.5. That is low.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And finally, Paul.
Iowa wins on a walk-off field goal, 26-23.
Woo.
That's a lot of scoring. You think our defense is going to give up that many points?
No, I think
guess
it's not.
Judging
it's
by
not-
all you guys, I'm the only one that thinks our defense isn't going to give up much. Okay. Jason, did you say something else about another game?
No. My wife is yelling at me. I got to go.
All righty. You're free to go if you want to, but I don't know if these guys want to hang around for a couple more minutes or not.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Bye, Terry.
Okay. All right, we're going to break this off. Oh, we got Cody at 27-12. Okay. All right. I don't know that Iowa State's going to let us score that many points either, so you guys are very optimistic, more optimistic on the scoring than I am. I think both teams are going to bog down the other's offense.
Well, it has happened before.
Yes, it has.
Didn't Iowa State win 10-6 one year when I was wearing their throwback jerseys or something?
Was that 2 years ago when we?
No, I'm thinking further back, maybe like 10 or so, something like that.
I think we had a similar score 2 years ago when our supposed to be our number one wide receiver dropped the ball and fumbled the ball at the 1.
That was a few years ago, but I think wasn't it? I guess it was last year that College Game Day was at Iowa State for the game, and
yeah, they went to Iowa State. I think that was that 2 years ago or was that last year?
No,
I'm sorry, 2 years ago or
Right.
when we had the team and when they were both ranked and Iowa State was ranked higher.
it couldn't have been 2 years ago because
it was before COVID because the beer guy was there.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I thought
the year they went in there, it would have had to have been 20.
I thought it was the year.
It would have had to have been what? Yeah, no, 2021 is the year that we beat Iowa State and they were ranked higher than we were. It was the first time we'd played each other as a ranked team or highly ranked. I don't know what the.
It was probably the 2019 game was College Games Day because it was right before COVID, and that was when Carson King photobombed the ESPN commentators with the "Send Beer" sign.
Gotcha.
Became a celebrity.
Well, there you go. It's right there.
Yeah.
Did you know, Pat? Did you see that notation before you?
No,
that?
no. My favorite is the Miller High Life delivery guy who's no longer with us, Wendell Middlebrooks. I love that guy. $11.95 for a hamburger? You must be crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Brandon has a very good podcast. Him and his buddy Brad. They do a show, Hawkeyes. They do it live off of Facebook, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon. And I don't know exactly. I keep looking around for it every time, so I'm always late getting to their start of their show because I think it's under Iowa Hawkeye is where they do it. I'm not sure. Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong, so you can get more people to come and watch your show tomorrow night. They will do it, I believe, right after, if I'm not mistaken, right after Hawk Talk is done with Kirk Ferentz. And the reason why we're not doing Wednesday nights this year is because I didn't want to get involved with Hawk Talk and Kirk Ferentz anymore. Tuesday nights seems to be working out for us. We seem to have our best participation, and so I think that's really good for us. So I'm going to try to keep it at Tuesday, and then we'll do our Sunday recap as we always do because it works out better. Guys, I think we've reached the end of the rope. I think we had a lot of fun. Thank you, Pat, for joining us and all your insight on everything and the memories.
Oh, it was fun. Can I make a patriotic plug?
Sure.
I've got a USS Iowa submarine Iowa State cap here. It's the newly christened USS Iowa submarine. They have merch on their website. You can get USS Iowa Hawkeye, UNI Panther, or Sullivan Brothers caps.
Very cool.
Wow, that is very cool. I'd get a Sullivan Brothers cap. I'm very partial to the Sullivan Brothers, especially after I toured the Grout Museum for the first time about 5 or 6 years ago, and the Sullivan Brothers stuff that's there is just amazing.
I've been aboard the USS Sullivans when I was in the Navy, so it was pretty cool.
Were you? Wow, that is great, Paul. That is fantastic.
I didn't serve. I just went aboard it. You know, you can get on any
And the other thing too, I mean, I know this is off topic, but the USS Sullivan or the Sullivan Brothers, they were at St. Mary's, the school and church I eventually went to. They went there first. And just down the road, I believe where their house is, it's now a park with a memorial in the middle of it. Am I right, Paul? Pat? Yeah. I got to tell you, it's a neighborhood I stay out of when I'm back in Waterloo, so I don't remember it too much.
Well, and St. Mary's is closed, but Kelly Sullivan, the youngest Sullivan brothers' granddaughter, salvaged some windows out of St. Mary's Church, and we have those at the museum now. They're in a memorial reflective area. There's a scroll of Iowa War Dead service flags. If people need to take a moment, you know, if they get overcome by stuff, those windows are there. They look pretty nice. They're not, there's not a lot of religious symbols on them, but they're painted glass. It's just kind of appropriate for the setting.
Yeah.
So,
Is St. Mary's building totally tore down now?
not yet. It's been sitting there. It's like parts of the Wrath site back in Waterloo, Mick. It's like it should come down, but I think there's probably asbestos issues. The city has it. City has title to it. One of the demolition contractors gave right of entry to some of the parishioners, and they got some of the keepsakes out of there. But it's a little sad.
Yeah, and you said the Wrath building is still up too?
They've reused major portions of the Wrath site. The Wrath administration building is still up, and they're talking about once again trying to repurpose that, which I hope they're able to do sooner or later.
Yeah, a lot of great memories from my days of Waterloo. All right, guys, this looks like a good place to call it good. We've lost our audience, so they got bored and left. All righty, guys. I'm going to end it right here. So thank you guys for participating. And for those of you, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, share, and comment. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Mick. Take care, you guys.
You're welcome.